All right.
This meeting is being recorded.
Welcome to the Town of Wawarsing Planning Board meeting for the month of February. I'm standing in for our departed chairman, John Constable, who passed away recently. I'd like you to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I'll do it the way John used to do it. I pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America
and
and to the republic for which it stands,
one
nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like you to also, if you could join me in observe a moment of silence for John in his memory. He was a great asset to this board and to the town, and I'm sure he will be severely missed. If you'll join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. Okay, we've got about 5 items on the agenda for this evening. The first is Cape Pond, and do we have someone here from Cape Pond, the Cape Pond project?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Very well.
Okay.
This is Chris Prentice.
I am
Okay.
Christopher Prentice from Lower Hudson Forestry, representing Cape Pond Inc. on the proposed timber harvest. We are proposing a timber harvest on tax parcel 82.2-2-62. The parcel is 461.4 acres, of which 32 acres is being considered for harvesting. There's a total of 705 trees, both hardwood and softwood, that are marked for harvest, which is approximately 23 trees per acre. Other trees, vegetation will be left in place. There is a 50-foot no-cut buffer on the property lines as per the town code. The erosion control plan for the property is smoothing and grading of the skid trails and the landing areas when completed. The property is very flat, so erosion is going to be fairly minimal. It would be more of rutting, and so like I say, all the trails will be smoothed and graded upon completion. Water bars to the state BMP guidelines will be utilized where needed. Access to the property will be made via South Shore Road, which is a private gravel road, which then will come out onto Ulster Heights Road. One landing area will be used for the project. The landing is a pre-existing landing that was used for a previous harvest. It is approximately 2,100 feet off of Ulster Heights Road, so the visual impacts will be fairly minimal. Environmental resource mapper did show that there was an occurrence of the bald eagle. You will see in the application packet that the DEC's letter stating that no trees within 200 feet of the shoreline are to be harvested, no white pine within 300 feet of the shoreline, and no white pine over 25 inches in diameter to be harvested. The project is inside of the Cedar Swamp Critical Environmental Area. I enclosed the map of that area as part of the application. It's expected approximately 45 log trucks will be required to complete the job, with usually 5 to 6 per week. So it's expected under optimal weather conditions, 7 to 8 weeks to complete. And Cape Pond has limited truck weights to 30 tons on their bridge that they recently installed over the dam. So that's part of the reason why it's going to take more trucks than normal. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Okay, based on the maps that you supplied, one of the things I noticed was that I couldn't really make a determination where the protected area might have overlapped with the property line and in relation to where you were cutting. I believe on the west side.
The protected areas in reference to what?
To where you were cutting and the property line and
Doug, are you asking about the
it
Cedar
looked like it
Swamp
was close.
area, or are you asking about the Bald Eagle areas?
The swamp area.
Because I think the entire thing is within the critical environmental area. Is that correct, Chris?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, the entire thing is within the
Cedar Swamp.
Cedar
Right.
Swamp critical environmental area.
Question I have, Chris, is any of the harvest area in any of the wetlands?
No.
Okay.
So that's what if you look on the map, that's what that big kind of finger is in the middle that's one of the DEC wetlands that we stayed out of.
Yeah, I was looking at the map that's on the town website, and it looked like there may be some overlap to the left of that finger that sticks up.
For the critical environmental area?
Yes.
The entire,
Yeah.
the entire,
I understand the
project.
entire thing is,
Right.
but if you look at that map, the cutting seems to be in the dark blue or the light blue area. I'm just curious.
I mean, like I said, the entire parcel's in the critical environmental area, so all of the harvest is going to be in that area. There's no protected area in terms of the critical environmental area when it comes to timber harvesting.
All right. Does anyone on the board have any questions?
The only question I have is for you, Mary Lou. I see that everything is signed by Doug Kraft. Do we know what authority he has for signing as for the Cape Pond Incorporated? Is that something we should clean up?
yeah, I was wondering that myself, because it's the applicant,
It's Mark Kraft.
It's Mark
He's the
Kraft.
president.
it's Mark Kraft, and he's the president. So we should probably get something confirming that that's his role.
Or a resolution from the corporation or something, just to clean it up so
Right,
that
that
we
gives
don't
him
have-
permission to make the
Correct.
application.
Right. Yep.
And Chris, you said that this was logged previously. Do you know how many years ago that was?
I believe it was 13 or 14 years ago, is from what the club told me.
Thank you, Barbara.
I'm sorry, Robin, what?
No, I was talking to Barbara. I
Oh, okay.
apologize.
And similar sites where the harvest is going to be from that point, or is it new or different areas?
Some is overlapping, some is new.
Okay.
So the further west you go from the landing, a lot of that is newer areas. The previous harvest also encompassed the north shore of the lake, and that was where the majority of the harvesting was. The south shore, only part of the original harvest area was actually completed back then.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
Okay, we would want to do CEQA at this time, Mary Lou?
Yeah, and remember, because it is the critical environmental area, you look a little bit deeper at this one, and I sent you all the document that the town passed, creating the critical environmental area. And I'll just read for the record the important part for when you do the seeker. Recognizing that the large majority of the area is privately owned, actions requiring town or other public agency reviews and approvals should include assessment that mitigates or avoids adverse impacts to these wetland habitats, and actions which enhance or protect such habitats should be encouraged. And maybe Mr. Prentice could speak to that to help us out by telling us how it does or does not affect the wetlands and what they're doing to keep things protected.
Sure.
And I said wetlands, but I meant, critical environmental area habitat.
Right. So this harvest is, a selective harvest in terms of, the trees that are being removed. The wetlands are being protected in terms of there is a no-cut buffer, there's a no machinery buffer. All of the skid trails that you do see on the map are pre-existing, so that will limit the amount of new disturbance because the old skid trails will be utilized for this harvest. So that would be what we're doing to protect those wetlands and critical environmental area.
Okay. Mary Lou, in terms of the paperwork for CEQA, because we're on Zoom, how have we been doing that in the past?
We would still just go over the same questions. I don't know if you have the paperwork there at home.
I don't have the form. I don't have the form on my computer. I thought I did.
Jonathan, do you have a form that you can pull up a part two?
Yes.
That you can put on the screen, and then we can go through it that way, Doug? Would that work?
Yeah.
Mary
Would you
Lou?
like a short form part 2 or a long form part 2?
Short form.
Mary Lou,
Yes.
Frank already did it.
Okay, can you guys share it with us? I mean, because we have to adopt it, so. And Frank's not here.
Correct.
It is a short form.
Can you share it on the screen so we can see it, and then someone can make a motion and vote on it?
I can
Hold on
share
a
a
moment.
blank. I can share a blank one,
Getting
or
it
if we
right
could,
now, Mary Lou.
or if Frank's is in electronic form, they can share it.
Robin is getting it to share right now, she said.
The only thing we have is page 4 where he signed it, Mary Lou. I apologize.
Okay, then why don't we have Jonathan?
Do you have the rest of it there, Barb?
We'll do it now, which I think is a good idea anyway, just because it is in a critical environmental area. I think it's good to do it as a whole board.
I would agree.
Okay.
Do you want us
Here's,
to electronically send it to you?
well, why don't we just fill out this one now, and I'll email it to you, and Frank can sign it tomorrow.
Actually, we'll have Doug sign it because Doug is the acting chair
Okay.
Okay.
when he can.
Can you
Will the
see the form?
Yes, I
Yes.
can. Will the proposed action create material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulation? I would say no, or small impact. If you folks disagree, will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of the use of land? I
No,
would say no. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community? No. Will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of the critical environmental area?
No.
Anyone care to comment on that? I would say no. It would seem to me to be good stewardship of the land, but will proposed action result in adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit or biking or walkway? No.
no,
Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable opportunities? No. Will the proposed action impact public-private water supplies or public-private wastewater treatment utilities? No.
No.
Both no.
Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources? No.
No.
Will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources, wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, or fauna? I would say no.
No.
Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems? Based on what the applicant has said, I would say no. Will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health? No.
No.
Okay, that's that. And you've answered all of the questions. No.
So would someone like to make a motion that this be unlisted and that a negative declaration be declared?
Don Smallsley will make that motion.
Dr. Paul Lansing seconds it.
Okay, if
Well-
Doug, if there's no first, you can ask for discussion, and if there is none, this should be a roll call vote.
Right. Is there any discussion on this subject? No discussion?
Nope.
Roll call vote. Don Smallsy, I did not know that you were on the call.
Yes, I vote yes.
Okay, Don Smallsy votes yes. Mr. Alexandrians,
Yes.
Mr. Odom,
Yes.
Dr. Lonstein,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Okay. So we have completed seeker. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone who wishes to speak on this application? Anyone out there who wishes to speak at this time? It's a public hearing.
You can raise your hand on Zoom, or
Down at the
unmute
bottom.
yourself. If you've called in, you can unmute yourself. I believe we had Joel K, is that the right name? Had indicated he was here for that. Mr. K, did you want to speak? Jonathan, can you unmute him? I don't know if he can unmute. him.
He should be able to talk if he wishes to speak.
He said, nope, just wanted to listen in.
Okay.
Oh, good.
And there was a Laura Feinstein who asked a question about the riparian buffers. So I don't know if she has a question or not.
Okay, yeah, and just so everyone knows, the chat is not part of the meeting. So please don't put your comments in the chat.
Yeah,
or
but
if you want to unmute yourself and participate, that's great.
asking questions in the chat is good though. That way we know you want to be heard and we can allow you to speak.
Right.
So I see that, Laura, I do find that, Laura, why is the harvest of riparian buffers being considered for protected area?
Would the applicant care to comment on it?
Well, we're not harvesting the buffer area. There is a buffer on the riparian, or on the wetland area, which would be considered the riparian area. So the harvest is outside the buffer area.
And I believe it's even because of the eagle situation, it's a larger buffer than usual.
Correct. So, I mean,
Because of the
in
DEP.
theory, you could go all the way down to the lake if you wanted to.
If the Eagles weren't there.
Correct.
Right,
Right. And we're not harvesting in any specific wetland,
No,
correct?
right,
That
or
was,
in their buffers.
correct.
That was Ms. Feinstein's other comment. Okay, Is there anyone else who wishes to speak on the Cape Pond project? I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Don
So
I'll
Smolley,
make-
so moves.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Okay. At this point, we would need a motion to either approve along. Does the applicant have a copy of the standard procedures for timber harvest from the town?
Yes.
And I think you need to add to this the requirements of the DEC. What's the date of that email?
December 16th.
Thank you.
How should that be worded, Mary Lou?
That it's conditioned upon meeting our standard worksheet and meeting
In
all conditions outlined by the Department of Environmental Conservation in its December, did you say 15 or 16, Mr. Prentice?
16th.
16th, 2021 letter.
And also the
Yeah.
other condition as being that we received from the applicant confirmation of the person who signed the application.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you, Don.
And I've emailed the seeker form you've filled out to the building department.
Thank you.
So I'll make that motion as discussed.
I'll second it, Don Smolley.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? I think we're good to go. Mary Lou?
Yes, we can move on.
Okay.
You're okay, sir?
Thank you. Have a good evening.
All right. Good
Okay,
night, Chris.
good night,
Bye.
Chris.
Good night.
Good night.
Okay. Cresco Labs. Continued public hearing.
Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday, February 15th.
Hello.
Hi, Sabrina.
Again, this is Don Smolley. I have to recuse myself from this application.
Can you give us a brief description of the project for those of the public that might be on the call that haven't been brought up to speed?
Thank you, Mr. Acting Chairman. With me today, I have our agent, Justin Ryder, and engineering consultant, Skip Francis. In the spirit of brevity, they will be addressing those questions.
Hello, Chairman and Board. Good to see you again. The proposed project will consist of an approximately 380,000 square foot marijuana cultivation, manufacturing, and distribution facility. It's located on approximately 91 acres. The site will be connected to municipal water and sewer services and is located in your planned commercial industrial mixed-use development zoning district. The project will have parking for 754 spots, as well as loading docks and circulation areas. We've been careful to avoid impact on all wetlands on the property, and the project significantly reduces the impervious areas on site. If you'd like us to go into further detail, I'm happy to do so, or happy to have the assistance of the engineer. But that's the basic overlay of the site plan for the project.
Okay. This is a public hearing. Continuation from last month. Do we have anyone who wishes to speak on this application?
Yeah, this is Don Smolley. I'd like to ask a question as a member of the public. Can I or cannot? Not. I cannot. So my rights are infringed.
Sorry.
upon.
Well,
I'll leave
No,
that to the.
Take it up with the state.
Right, you can take it up with New York State, who says you can't.
All right.
I'm just the messenger.
Okay.
Hey,
Is there anyone who wishes to speak on this application? It is a public hearing.
I do not see any hands raised. Those of you who are attendees, if you float your mouse to the bottom of the screen, there's a button that says raise hand. If you press that, I'll know that you'd like to speak. If you write something in the chat, I'll know that you would like to speak. So I'm looking right now to see if anyone presses that raise hand button.
And this is your time to make comments.
so Jonathan, I'm curious, how many people are actually logged in today? Do you have that?
We have 39 people, 40. It just turned to 40 as I said that. We have 40 people at the moment.
Okay,
That,
thank you.
That includes
some of
us.
And there are some other names that I recognize that are people who have later applications, but
Yeah, there's
it's not
10
all-
panelists.
it's not all 30
yeah.
of them.
Right, of course, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay, we'll give it another second or two, and then I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing if no one wishes to make any comments or questions. Somebody wishes to make that motion?
I'll make that motion, Doug. Don Odom.
The motion is to close the public hearing.
I'll second it, Dr. Lostine.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? No. Okay, just for the record, we did receive some additional information from the town engineer and the applicant's attorney regarding some of the comments that were made by the Riverkeeper. And I believe those documents are on the website. Would that be a correct statement, Paul?
We've not posted the Riverkeeper comments are on the website, but the response to them that came in today has not been put up, but I can put those up tomorrow.
Okay.
For those people in the audience following the case, if you look at the link on the website under meetings for the planning board meeting of February 15th, you can find pretty much every document that the applicant submitted and all of the other comments, but I did not get a chance to put in the ones from this afternoon. But we can get that done tomorrow.
All right. Seeker was done on this. Is that, I
Yes.
seem to remember that we did do Seeker
Yes,
on
that
this.
was done.
At the last meeting, a negative declaration was passed.
Yes. At this point, we have closed the public hearing. We have 62 days to make a final determination. I don't anticipate that it will take 62 days to make that determination. But by law, we have 62 days after closing the public hearing to do that. So I would try to see that we can have a determination on this application, possibly by the March meeting. But again, we do have that length of time that the law does give us. Anyone have any additional comments or questions on this?
No, I would
Anybody
just
on the
say
board?
that, take the next month, folks, because you did just get some more the information in today from our engineer and from Mr. Ryder. And I know that we all work. Some of us are lucky enough to be done with that nonsense, but many of us work, so you may not have had a chance to look those over as they came in today. So
okay,
please do that.
just want to thank you for your time tonight, Mr. Chairman, and to the board, and we look forward to presenting next month.
Thank
Very
you,
good.
everybody.
Yeah.
Great.
So
Thank you.
Sabrina, you have to keep working because California, it's still the work day. But Justin and
ma'am.
Skip can enjoy the rest of the night.
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks, Mary Lou.
Thank you all.
Take care.
Thank you for your time.
Right.
Okay, moving on to item number 3 is the Finaro public hearing on the Finaro application. Do we have anyone here from Finaro?
It should be Mr. Kentop. Let me see if I can find him on the list.
No,
No,
Yeah, I think it was
Jeffrey Kaplan.
Jeffrey Kaplan. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, let me find Mr. Kaplan. Hang in there, Jeff. We got you.
Jeff, are you out there?
Yeah,
He
there
has
he
his
is.
hand
He raised
raised.
his hand.
Okay, Jeff, you should be able to unmute yourself and start talking.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Good. With my technology experience, I almost jumped out of a window, so thank you for recognizing me. Good evening, everybody. The last time we were before the board was in December, and at that point, it was determined that the lots hadn't been properly designated with the acreage, so we adjourned a month. And then we had some additional changes to those lots. Where now we have 3 lots. All of them meet the minimum criteria, including the wetlands that are involved in those lots. There were a couple of comments by Mr. Lockman that have been passed on to the engineer. I don't believe any of them are of major consequence and can be resolved by, I believe there was maybe a couple of pins that had to put in, although my client indicated he thought that the pins were in now. My client has been working with the highway department to nail down the exact location of the 3 driveways. I believe 2 were pre-existing, and there's one that if Tony was either going to go and do a final inspection of the one that would be used on the middle lot or lot 2, either he's going to do that today or tomorrow morning. I'm not sure if he got to it or not, but I believe other than that, there was one minor error that had to be corrected, whether it was 8.98 or 8.96 acres, which was the smallest lot that the applicant will be retaining. But other than that, I believe that everything should be in place.
Thanks, Jeff.
And board members should all have my memorandum of February 7th. And the application has indeed been cleared up for most things, as you can see from my report. I won't go over it here, but the recommended action is that you ask for any public comments, given that we're still in public hearing, and then you can consider whether to issue a negative declaration and consider whether the preliminary plan is ready to approve with conditions.
I believe the negative declaration was already issued, was it not? Robin, can you check that with Barbara?
You need to repeat because Jonathan was speaking and I couldn't hear.
Oh, that's okay.
When
do
I
we
looked at
already have
the,
a neg deck on this? I thought we did. I thought I saw that in the minute.
yeah, when I
believe we do.
Oh, okay, because when I looked at the minutes on December 21st, the board declared itself as lead agency and categorized it as unlisted. and then the public hearing was started. That was December 21st. Then on the 18th of January, the applicant skipped, didn't appear.
Right,
No, we
I,
took him off the agenda. All right, for the month of December, Finaro for the public hearing, Finaro, we did declare, secret was declared
12/21.
on 12/21's meeting.
But I mean, I know you declared yourself lead agency,
vote
but
on
did
it?
you say was a negative declaration issue?
Yeah,
yes.
Okay, well then I've got that wrong then. Okay,
We
Sorry
had
about
to
that.
do it before we opened the public hearing because it's a subdivision. And I thought I read in the minutes that it was.
yes,
Okay.
I have it in my notes as well.
okay, very good.
Donald Schmolzy come back to the meeting?
Yeah, he just didn't turn on my video.
Okay.
Okay, well, do I need to do anything for you, Don? Are you there?
Yes, because it says the host has cannot start because the host stopped it.
Aha, okay, I will, you're persona non grata. I gotta figure out. Now you're grata again. Yeah, no
Yeah,
gratas.
there
Now
we
you
go.
have gratas.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
But did we actually do, we did not do secret.
We did. We did.
We did.
But he
All right.
never, nobody ever.
We did it, but Barbara said nobody came to sign the paper.
Say,
Doug never came.
Okay.
Jonathan gave me the paper.
And Jonathan was the one that made it out.
Yeah.
Okay, but we did vote on
Filled
it,
it out,
so
sounds
we can
better.
have Doug sign it. That's fine.
Okay,
Yeah.
very good.
I'll stop down and sign tomorrow, whatever I need to sign.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
The Doreen and Harry Finaro are on. They said that they don't know if anybody could hear them, but they'd like to speak.
Would they like to speak?
There
Then
was a
if
little
they could,
caption there.
if they could,
There is someone raising their hand named owner. I don't know who that is.
and this is, the person named owner should be able to speak. You've been promoted and
Is that the Finaros?
you have permission to talk, whoever is owner. If I have two raised hands right now, one for Jeffrey Kaplan, who we know can
Right.
speak. We've heard him nicely. And the
Mhm.
other is called owner, and owner can start talking.
You just chatted, no need to speak.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's what they
okay.
wrote. They wrote no need to speak.
There we go.
And so Doug can open the public hearing if he'd like.
Yeah.
If you
at
guys
this
don't have any
point-
other questions.
At this point, it is a continuation of the public hearing. If there's anyone from the public who'd like to speak on this application, please raise your hand now. And Jonathan will let you.
Float your mouse down to the bottom of the screen. There's a button that says raise hand. And I'm paying attention and I will find you if you would like to
thank
speak.
Thank you.
I see no hands raised.
Well, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Don Smosley will make that motion.
I'll second. Eric Alexandrians.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Jonathan, you have done up a resolution on this?
Yes, I have, and I can share the screen.
Before we do that, Mary Lou, is there anything else that we need to do here?
Yeah, you have seeker done. You've closed the public hearing unless anybody has any other questions on the board
The
before
only
you
question-
move forward.
The only question I have is, do we need to get that acreage of lot 1 squared away before we do the resolution? Because there was a discrepancy of the gross area of,
Make it a condition of the,
I
But-
think
but it's- but
Jonathan
it's-
addressed that.
but it's part of the resolution listing the acreage. as-
Well, what I did is in the draft resolution that I prepared,
Right,
item 4D, I said that they have to fix the discrepancy on the gross acreage of lot 1. In the resolution, I put it down as 8.98 gross acres.
Right, and I didn't see that any place on the plan. Alls I received was a preliminary plan.
Well, the new preliminary plan that they handed in, that was the most recent one,
What's that dated?
dated January 17th.
That's the one I have.
It at one in the table, it says 8.96.
Right.
And on the lot itself, it says 8.98, which is 2/100ths of an acre difference. And they need to, and in the resolution, I asked that they pick which is the correct number and make them both the same.
Is on my plot here, lot 1 says 8.96 on the map.
Right, but then look at the table. And he's got it at 8.98 in the table. That's the discrepancy. The zoning table, that's a little bit further up on the drawing.
I see it as 8.96 up on the zoning requirements under lot 1.
That exactly right. So there's a difference.
And then on the net lot areas, I have it 8.96. And on the plot, I have it 8.96. I don't see where the 8.98 is.
Don't either.
If you look on the copy I'm looking at, that has the pictures of the 3 lots.
Right.
It says prop period lot 1 plus or minus 8.98 AC.
Mine says 8.96.
So does mine. Mine says 8.96.
Well, mine, which has the latest revision date of January 17th, 2022.
Yep,
Mine
that's
too.
what mine is saying.
I got my best progressive lenses going here.
That's
And it
strange
says
that you guys
8.98. So that's why I asked them to correct it, because
I'll have Bill Eggers change. I'm sure it must be 8.96, and what maybe he did a draft, changed the draft. Maybe there's ketchup on it. I don't know, but I'll make sure it's
Maybe
correct.
you have to go back to the optometrist.
I will in the resolution, okay?
Yep.
I am going to change the number in the first paragraph to 8.98, and I will leave the condition in that he should fix any discrepancy in case there is on some other documents that are floating out there.
Yeah, right here, it's under the zoning requirement. It's 8.96 under the lot requirement on the map that is dated November 30th of 2021.
And we received,
And revised 1/17/20.
Yeah, we're
Right.
looking at the one that was
Yeah.
revised on 117.
I know folks don't believe me, but on my map, the label on the lot and the picture of the lot below says 8.98. That's why I brought that up.
I would say, based on that, we should probably change the resolution for the total acreages to be 94.1 and the gross area of lot 1 to be 8.96.
It's done.
Great,
Thank you.
Look at that.
That way-
Look at how easy that was.
In fact, here it is.
Okay.
There it is. Look at that.
Look
Okay.
at that.
8.98.
Okay, we dealt with that issue.
That's the one he
Is
wanted?
everyone satisfied?
We
I'm
should,
satisfied.
we should read this.
Yep.
Okay. Who would like to read the resolution?
I can read the resolution.
Go right ahead. And I'll scroll it as you get to a good part, but the bottom.
Okay. All right. Whereas the applicants Harry and Doreen Finnerow are seeking subdivision approval to subdivide lot 73.2-2-11 into 3 lots. And whereas the parcel has a total of 94.10 acres, and it is located in the RU Rural District, fronting on Camp Road. The applicant proposes to create 3 lots, each taking access from Camp Road. Proposed lot 3 would contain 61.49 gross acres, 50.99 net acres. Proposed lot 2 would contain 23.65 gross acres, or 11.35 net acres. And proposed lot 1 would contain 8.96 gross acres, or 5.21 net acres. The minimum lot area required for the RU district is 5 acres, and whereas pursuant to section 95-13 of the Town of Wawarsing Code, the Planning Board approved the sketch plan on November 16th, 2021, which allowed the applicant to proceed with the application for preliminary plat approval. And whereas pursuant to section 95-14, a preliminary plan prepared by William Eggers, LS, was submitted dated November 30th, 2021, which required a public hearing, and the public hearing was properly noticed and held on December 21st of 2021 and continued to January 18th of 2022 and February 15th of 2022. And whereas the application material submitted for sketch and preliminary plat approval in support of the proposed action include transmittal sheet from Medenbach and Eggers to Planning Board dated 2/1/22. Preliminary plan showing subdivision of lands of Harry and Doreen Finnerow, stamped by William Eggers, LS, Medenbach and Eggers, PC, dated November 30th, 2021, with the latest revision date of January 17th, 2022. Response to checklist letter from William Eggers, LS, Medenbach and Eggers to Planning Board dated January 4th, 2022. Preliminary plan showing subdivision of lands of Harry and Doreen Finnerow, stamped by William Eggers, LS, Medenbach and Eggers, PC, dated November 30th, 2021, with the latest revision date of January 3rd, 2022. Preliminary plan showing subdivision of lands of Harry and Doreen Finnerow, stamped by William Eggers, LS, Medenbach and Eggers, PC, dated November 30th, 2021. Transmittal sheet from Medenbach and Eggers to Planning Board dated 10/19/21.
Yes.
Application.
Yes.
Application forms package signed by Doreen and Harry Finnerow dated 10/12/2021. SEAF Part 1 form signed by William Eggers, LS, dated 10/19/2021. Sketch plan showing subdivision of lands of Harry and Doreen Finnerow, stamped by William Eggers, LS, Medenbach and Eggers, PC, dated September 24th, 2021. Whereas referral to the Ulster County Planning Board, UCPB, was not required for the proposed subdivision pursuing to the UCPB Land Use Referral Guide and agreement between Ulster County and the Town of Wawarsing. And whereas the Planning Board considered the application materials submitted by the applicant in support of the proposed action, along with comments of its consultants made via memoranda, which memoranda are incorporated herein by reference. And whereas the zoning requirements table on the preliminary plan shows net lot acreages with environmentally sensitive areas subtracted per paragraph 112-10F and paragraph, well,
There we are.
Just-
We're right there. Whereas.
okay, whereas at its meeting held on December 21st, 2021, the Planning Board, upon review of the entire record, including seeker and short EAF Part 1, found the proposed action to be an unlisted action pursuant to SECRA and made a negative declaration of environmental significance and determined that the application has complied fully with the procedural requirements of Part 617 of the State Environmental Quality Review Law, SEQR. And further be it resolved, the Town of Wawarsing Planning Board hereby grants preliminary plat and conditional final approval as described above for subdivision of the lands of Harry and Doreen Finnerow, subject to the conditions, limitations, and restrictions set forth below. Okay. Where am I? No changes, erasures, modifications, or revisions shall be made to any plat after approval and endorsement by the planning board. All fees, including consultant fees, shall be paid. The final plat public hearing is waived per the town of Wawarsing zoning code. The planning chairman is authorized to sign the final plat once all of the conditions below are met. A, preliminary plan dated January 17, 2022 should be retitled and resubmitted as a final plat, stamped by the surveyor with the title block ready for signature. B, monument or pin details should be indicated on all property corners. C, the preliminary plan should be shared with the highway superintendent for his review of the potential driveway entrance locations for the lots and to determine the material length and diameter of any culverts if required. Driveway details as required by the superintendent shall be indicated on the final plat. Discrepancy between the indication of gross acreage on lot 1 on the plat and in the tables should be corrected. The final plat shall be filed with the Ulster County Clerk within 62 days of the plat being signed by the chairman of the planning board.
Can I ask that we, where it says further be it resolved, that we take out the word further, because there's only one be it resolved, and 20 years from now, somebody will say there's a page missing.
Okay.
Yeah, and you know that's probably what happened, right?
Yeah, I've been there. Thank you.
So as we scroll down, any comments by any of the board members? Then I will entertain a motion to accept the resolution.
I'll
make
make the motion, Don Odom.
Okay, I'll second.
So I'm sorry, I was looking at the resolution, my word. So being that we fixed in the second paragraph, whereas about lot 1, do we need that still at the bottom where it goes?
About the discrepancy?
On 4D? Or just to make sure that the engineer puts that on the plan?
I would just leave it because somehow I got a copy with a different number on it. So
True.
Okay.
Why don't we
There is a
make it,
question, so
why
let's
don't
get
we make it
resolved.
any discrepancy between the
Okay.
indication?
Yeah, that would work.
And
I
that
can
way
do
it's
that.
the one that's, okay?
Yep.
So we have a motion.
how about this? Just you should see what I'm doing here.
Yes.
Yes.
There you go.
Is that good?
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Do we, the only question I have is, do we typically require them to monument all the corners?
Yes.
Yes.
I thought so.
Okay.
I think it's in our subdivision code.
Okay.
Yes.
all right.
So you can't just have a dot there. You have to say iron rod or what you're going
Right.
to do
Yep.
so that the person looking at the survey knows what to look for, whether it's rock, a piece of
Yep.
a medallion, a rod, or what, they know what's going to be there.
Okay, we're good with that?
Yep.
So it should be as amended now. You should just amend the motion to say accept as amended. And I think
Okay.
it was Don Odom.
Odom.
Don, if you can,
And Eric,
and Eric can second.
Yes, I made the motion and I believe Eric seconded.
So
Yes.
Don, are you willing to amend that motion to say as amended?
Oh, absolutely.
And
Um,
Eric, are you
motion
willing
as
to
amended.
second that?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Got to keep it all in order,
Yep.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'll call for the vote.
Yeah, no, I didn't remember doing secret, but I guess apparently we did. But
You did.
We did it in
Uh,
December.
All right, at this point, we just need to do a roll call vote on the resolution.
Actually, if
Dr.
you wait,
Lonstein,
I'll vote yes, but I don't think we need a roll call for,
no, you don't need a roll call. You can do it, doesn't hurt, but
yeah.
you can just do a
okay,
voice vote.
you're right, we don't need a roll call on this. My mind was thinking on seeker. All in favor of this resolution as amended?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays?
All right.
We're good to go.
Good luck
Thank
with
you,
it.
appreciate it. Doug, I want to just say personally, you got a great voice for radio. If you're
Thank you
looking
very
for
much.
another career.
I started my college education wanting in broadcast. I wanted to be a disc jockey.
You have a great voice for that.
Thank you, sir.
Good night.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good night.
Right.
Good night.
Thank you. Algemine. My understanding is that we did not receive county's input on this because of a health issue in the office there. We were hoping to have their input by today. We did not receive it.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, which what are we talking about?
On Illumine Foundation.
Okay, thank you.
So we were waiting for that. We did not get it. So what we can do is this is a public hearing. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak on this particular application? We'd like to have your comments. If you're here for the Illumine application, please raise your hand down at the bottom.
I'm here, Sanjay Arawal, board president, and I believe our engineer up is on as well.
And what is your engineer's name so I can make sure he is available to speak?
Thomas Kentop.
Okay.
Do we
Mr.
have
Kentop,
anyone?
you should be able to pop in now and speak as well.
Do we have anyone who is here?
Yeah, he's muted right now, so, okay, where'd he go? There you go. Oh, on the beach.
Good evening.
Okay. We'll try one
You
more
all.
time. Do we have anyone out there for the Illumine application?
Yes, Sanjay Arawal, board president of the Service Foundation, and I believe our architect Jess Walker is also on, as well as Thomas Kentop.
Okay.
I am here. Can you hear me?
Yes,
We can hear you, Mr. Kentop.
now we can.
Okay.
So at this point, Doug, you're looking for comments from the public though, correct?
That is correct. And it doesn't look like we have any.
Yeah, I don't see any hands raised. And Mr. Kentop, Mr. Walker, and Mr. Rawal are all able to speak.
And if there aren't any comments, unfortunately, you can't close the public hearing because we can't close the public hearing until after we receive the Ulster County.
Oh, I
Planning
do
Board.
have a comment from Lee Augustine. Oh, but his hand went down. Mr. Augustine or Lee Augustine, if you would like to speak, I can unmute you if you. Okay, here we go. One moment. Go ahead, Lee Augustine.
Yep, you just muted yourself. There you go.
I just want to know, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Where and how can we get to see the map of the proposed whatever,
Site.
what
Site.
site across, it's across the street from my house. We'd like to see a map of what's proposed, what's being proposed.
I will
Would you
share
like
my
to say-
screen, sir, and I can show you where it is on the town website. Just give me a moment. Okay, you now should be able to see the town website. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Augustine, if you go to meetings, then you go to planning board, and then you look for February 15th, and you look at these documents, and you go to Illumine. These are everything that they've submitted. And for instance, if you go to what came in on February 1st, which is the latest, and you click on here, you get the plan. So you can do this on your computer at home. And if you have a printer connected, you can even print it out on paper and look at it on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
Jonathan, can you put that there? Thank you. Back up just in case they want to look at it now.
Absolutely. I'll leave it right there.
Thank you. So for the Augustines, if you have any comments, I know you're just looking at it now, but you do know where to find this. And the public hearing will have to be continued till March. So if you want some more time to study it, to ask any questions, you have 4 weeks.
And if you have any written comments, you can email them to the building department or leave them off at the building department. And the planning board will consider them then.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do you have any comments at this time?
No, let's like to
Okay.
study the map. That's all.
Sure,
Thank you.
that's great. Thank you.
Good. Mary Lou, Seeker, on this, I believe Jonathan has drafted that up.
Mhm.
We can go ahead and do that now
Yes, you can.
if Jonathan can put that up on the screen. I'll be happy to read it.
Sure, one moment. We'll get that going.
And we asked that Mr. Lockman prepare a draft, and obviously the board, if you disagree with how he's filled that out, it's your prerogative to change it,
That's right.
because it will be your document. Have we already declared the type on this?
Okay, let me look at my notes in the memorandum.
That's what I'm doing too, Jonathan. I don't know if we've done anything because we were waiting for any changes.
I said that I do not believe we have done seeker yet on this. It's not a subdivision. And I wrote as my recommended action too, that the board tonight should declare itself as lead agency, categorize this as unlisted, and then go through the forms and consider about the negative declaration. I think you have a complete application. You haven't received any comments contrary to the application. My records indicate that you had not even started seeker on this at all.
Mine as well. Just wanted to be sure.
Okay.
So first, Doug, you should ask for a motion to,
The lead agency.
well, first to say, declare this an unlisted agent.
Unlisted
sorry,
action.
Unlisted action and declare town as lead agent.
Can I ask for that motion?
I'll make that motion, Dr. Lonstein.
Don Smallsley will second.
All in favor?
Nope, this one's a
Aye.
roll call.
Up, roll call.
This one's a roll call, Doc.
Sorry, I withdraw my aye.
Dr. Lonstein,
Yes.
Mr. Odo,
Aye.
Mr. Alexandrians,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
Don Smallsley votes
Don
yes.
Smolson.
Don Smolson, yep,
Yes.
okay. All right. So we've declared lead agency and neg deck. We can read that resolution,
No.
or do we do
First, we're gonna go through the part 2 next.
go through seeker right there? Now, Jonathan, I noticed that we've got moderate on the proposed.
Can I interrupt before we go through these?
Sure.
Go ahead.
On the public hearing, did we vote to continue it next month?
No, but we can now.
Yeah, we should do that before we continue with seeker.
Yeah. I'll entertain a
Yes.
motion to continue the public hearing until next month.
So moved,
I'll
Dr.
make-
Lonstein.
Second.
All in favor?
Eric.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays?
Thank you.
And in the form, when I took the first crack at filling this out, I did check 2 boxes as a potential for a moderate impact. And the board should discuss whether the applicant has adequately addressed those impacts. And also, obviously, the board should look and see if it agrees with the other questions that I suggested the answer be no. So you may want to go through all of these.
Okay. Will the proposed action create a material conflict with adopted land use plan or zoning regulations? I would say no. I would agree with Jonathan. Will the proposed, anybody, feel free to comment, board members, on if you disagree with the box that was checked. Will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of use of land? There's potential apparently for moderate or large impact. When we talked about the amount of use, the amount of people on that property, Jonathan, I'm just curious. I didn't get the impression it would be potentially moderate or large.
Well, I thought it was more than small. It's a currently a wooded vacant site. And there's going to be a 4,800 square foot building and parking lot, and it will be very lightly used. The applicant is only planning to use it 14 days a year. So I just thought that it was it wasn't no or small, but there's maybe a moderate impact. But in my professional opinion, they're using only a very small part of the site, and it's not going to. I think they've mitigated, especially with the way they've repositioned the building and repositioned the driveway, so that there's much less potential for erosion or problems. I think they've taken care of the issues, but that's why I checked it as moderate.
Yeah.
How does the board feel about that?
The other thing is that it used to be a sand and gravel mine, so I'm sure that there was a lot more traffic on that road than would be generated by this application. So I don't think the intensity of the land use is going to be. It may change for what it is now, but I don't think it's a major change since it's only for 14 days out of the year.
And it's 4,800 square feet, did you say, Jonathan?
Yes.
Okay, and if it was 4,000 square feet, it would be a type 2. And I mean, I know you have
Yes,
the parking lot and the roadway, but it's only 800 square feet more for the building than something that wouldn't need to have seeker review at all.
right.
Right. So I don't,
How does the board feel about changing that to no or small impact?
I would say we would.
Oh, would I?
Okay, yeah, I
Be a
would say
small
so
impact.
as well.
Okay.
That was
Will the
quick.
proposed, number 3, will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community? No. Will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area? I would say no. Again, feel free, board members, to jump in here and comment if you feel otherwise. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community? No, I'm sorry. Will the proposed action result in a change in the use of the intensity of the use of the land? No, it will be small, I would think. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community? No. Will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area? I would say no. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway? 14 days a year, I don't.
No.
Anybody have any comments on that?
Just that it would fall, I think, under the small impact, under no.
Yep, I would say so too. Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities? No. Will the proposed action impact existing public or private water supplies or public and private water treatment utilities? And I would say no to both.
No for both.
Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources? I would say no. I'm not that familiar with the site. I don't know what went on there previously, but apparently it was a quarry. Don?
Yeah, sand and gravel bank.
Okay. Will the proposed action result in adverse change to natural resources, wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, fauna? I would say no.
No.
Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems?
I don't think so with the changes that they've made to the plan since they flattened out the driveway. It is, it's very sandy soils and so on. They have ditches and all those sorts of things. So I don't see that as and they also have a soil erosion control plan and so on. So I don't think that will be, I think that would be a small impact.
Yeah, I would agree. Will the proposed
So they've had a discussion with Dennis Larios. Who's approved their preliminary drainage design, and he said that once they get final site plan approval before the issuance of a building permit, he wants them to submit a SWIP. So I took the language from Dennis Larios's memorandum and I can put that into a resolution for your consideration next meeting.
Oh, great. Number 11, will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health? No.
And in this box, I wrote that a full SWIP is required with review and approval by the town designated engineer, because he had asked for that. So that's sort of an explanation. And I also put in that the project will be limited use to 14 days per year, because I thought that was an important point to put in the record.
I
Agreed.
think it's good to have that there. Also, just the spelling of Bernier, it's Brinneier.
How is B
IER, not EAR.
IAR?
IER.
IER. Wow, I never would have gotten that right. Okay, thank you.
Okay,
So you could entertain a motion to accept the part 2 and issue a negative declaration.
I
I'll
will
make that
entertain
motion.
that
Don
motion.
Swansley.
All in favor? Oh, roll call vote.
You get a second?
Who was second?
Don Smalsey, I thought.
No,
I'll
I
second
did.
it then. Dr. Lonstein.
So Dawn and then
Don
Paul.
made the motion and Paul seconded the motion.
Roll call vote. Dr. Lonstein,
Yes.
Mr. Odom,
Yes.
Mr. Alexandrians,
Yes.
Mr. Smalsey,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Okay. So we have
And-
accepted.
I was just going to say that I had gotten an email. You'd mentioned this earlier, Doug, that Robert Libowitz, who writes the decisions up for the Ulster County Planning Board, he's ill. They did meet and go over this application at their meeting in early February, but they haven't issued a letter. By law, they have 30 days. And unfortunately, we didn't get the letter, but I'm sure he'll get better and we'll get the letter and we'll be able to act on this. But so the applicant understands that we need to wait until the county issues its letter and to deal with that. And they do have 30 days from the meeting. I think their meeting was February 2nd. I'm not.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And if by next month, either we'll have the recommendation or we won't, and the 30 days will have passed and we'll be able to continue without the recommendation.
So we need a motion to continue the public hearing.
Nope, you did that already.
We did that already.
Yeah, we need that.
I do have a question on the site plan. I see that there's wooded areas. I haven't been up to the site. So is the site wooded? Or is it blank and there only those little sections are wooded?
It's
No.
quite wooded.
I'm sorry?
Wooded.
It is wooded.
Yes, there are trees. There are very. There's really no open area. There's sort of like in the middle of the pit. There's kind of an area that's sort of about the width of an old road. Maybe there's a 20-foot wide open area,
All right.
but it's mostly woods now. It hasn't been a sand and gravel pit for many years. It looks
Right.
to be like 40 years.
So the forest reclaimed it.
Could we have the area of that's going to be cleared shown on the map someplace, what's going to be remain wooded and which is going to be cleared for the development and road and so on? If we could just put
Only the area of construction is going to be disturbed. The rest of the entire lot is going to remain undisturbed.
Yeah, all I'm asking, Tom, is that you go ahead and just put a line around the improvements so that we can see what's going to be cleared and what's going to remain.
Yeah.
That's all.
I
Usually,
believe there's a line of disturbance on the site plan. It's a red or blue line that says LOD repeatedly around the area of disturbance. That's the LOD, line of disturbance.
Okay, all right. Okay, I'm used to seeing that as like a wood line instead of just.
Yeah. Sometimes it's CLL, clearing limits line.
Yeah.
It depends on the engineer who
Yeah,
and what
exactly.
acronym they like.
All right, that's fine. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, any other comments on this? On aluminum, we will
only- the
carry it
only-
over.
The only
We will
other
carry it
question I
over
had
to
is,
March.
for my clarity, and Jonathan had it, is it 112 acres or is it the 31 acres? Tom?
I think he's frozen.
Well,
Yeah.
I think I can
There he
answer that.
goes.
Okay.
The property is actually split into two sections by Jenny Brook Road. And so the total area acreage is 131. But
Okay.
the portion that is the central portion is the smaller 112.
Then we should probably have that other parcel labeled on the map, on the site plan, where parcel 2 is and how many acres that is. Just for clarity. Understand what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you.
I want to get these things cleared up before.
Yeah,
sooner
and
than
it's
later.
one of those situations where it only has one SBL number and they
Right.
put a hook over the road,
Right.
which I hate those, but that's the way it's been done for
Yep.
300 years.
Well, I appreciate your patience, hard work on this. Thank you.
So
Try
I
and
believe
get
we're done
everything
until
handled
next
right
month
away.
on this. Mary Lou, we're done with this until next month. Is that
Till
correct?
next month, yep.
Okay.
Hey, good night, everyone.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Good night.
Thank you so much.
We have one more left to go for this evening. It's the JFA 10 lot subdivision preliminary review. Do we have anyone here from that application?
Oh, I see Mr. Houston.
If Mr. Houston can give us a brief description of the project.
Okay, you ought to be able to share your screen or turn on your video, Mr. Houston. And certainly your microphone should be available.
Okay, how about now?
I hear you now.
Okay, good.
I also have a Mr. Heenan who has raised his hand. Is he part of your team?
He is the property owner.
Okay, I am going to also allow him access to microphone and camera.
Yes, we had planned on having the engineer Lou Du Bois here, but he is unfortunately ill and currently in the hospital. He'd much rather be here, but for right now, it's Walt and I. So you're looking for just a brief explanation. We've got 42.96 acre parcel of land that we are looking to subdivide into 10 lots. They will all have their own private septic systems and wells and separate driveways. And I mean, in a super nutshell, that's what's going on. I could go into more detail if you wanted me to.
And if you like, I have, I can go through comments that I made in my memorandum dated February 7th, which the consultant team and owner, you should have gotten a copy of that last
I've
week.
got it in front of me.
Okay.
A lot of them are pretty similar in nature, having to do with the zoning table. I understand the nature of the comments. The deductions, there's several towns that I go to regularly this is a little bit new to me. In the interim, while I was sitting here, I looked at Bill Egger's map and saw how he did his table for a couple of cases ago, and I will do something similar.
Yes, it's a relatively new thing for Wawarsing. It was back in October, I believe, that a new zoning ordinance came out, and you had visited with us before that. And the new zoning ordinance is not codified yet. It's not on the general code website. In my memo, I gave you a link to it so that you can get the PDF and download that. And there's a new system of net lot area. I don't think it's really going to change any of your design.
I took all of that stuff into consideration, but I understand that there's no way for you to know that unless I put the actual numbers on the map, so that you
Right. It's just a matter of showing your math, like a teacher in high school said, "Show your work."
understand. And I'll try to make sure the numbers even add up.
Yeah. And there are some those specific comments or questions I had in some of the cases. You show driveways from one lot coming down to the road, and they almost touch each other, and then come to the road in one spot. So they look like a shared entrance. But then there was one instance where you had the driveways come down to the road and they're separated by about 10 feet.
Right.
And so I guess my question is are you going to create a shared entrance with an agreement that the owners will, jointly maintain it, or are you going to keep the two driveway entrances that almost touch side by side, as two separate things, and they're like their mailbox will be in the middle, or how is the driveway pairing going to work?
I know what you're saying, and I discussed it with my client, and whatever the board, if you have a preference, we're happy to go along with whatever your preference on that is.
I can say that as an urban planner, I like the idea of having shared driveway cuts. I think it makes the area look more rural than to have a driveway every couple hundred feet down the road. If two of them come together, that I like that, but I don't know how the planning board feels. We've never discussed it. I've never discussed this issue with you as a board, whether you'd prefer that. But here's a case where they're willing to do shared driveways, and is that what you'd like to see?
Personally, I don't care for shared driveways, only because of it being a contractual agreement between two property owners. And if it's on the plan, they're not maintained. It's a pain in the neck to try and come up with the funding for repair and so on. I mean, these lots are fairly large, so it isn't a instance of driveway. There's pretty well, if there's a separation between them, 10, 15 feet, whatever, I don't see that as a huge issue, but that's my personal opinion.
Yeah, I agree with Don. I grew up with that. And it turned out that we always plowed and we always maintained the driveway, and the neighbor got all the benefits. So, with the shared driveways, I'm not too in favor either.
I agree with Don and Paul. I'm not a fan of shared driveways.
It's one of those ideas that's got environmental sense to it, but practically and human nature wise doesn't work out.
True.
Human nature tends to rear its ugly head with shared driveways quite often.
What I found is it's like good fences make good neighbors, separate driveways also make good neighbors.
Yes.
And there's plenty of frontage here for them to have.
Okay, so you've got your marching orders on that one. And then all of my other comments really are mostly about math and showing work. I also wanted to point out to the board that previously lots 8 and 10 had a little cul-de-sac street going out to them. And in this design, they've artfully rearranged things and it still meets all your codes. And now lots 8 and 10 have direct frontage on Brandy Brook Road. That's just an observation. On point number 8, it is a specific code that if your driveway is over 250 feet long, you're supposed to have a passing area and a turnaround area. And I would recommend that you actually figure that out where that's going to be, because each lot would really be a customized decision as to where you would put that.
I hear what you're saying. The only reason that I have not done that so far is I can't find anywhere in the code where it specifies dimensions for the turnaround. So I don't know exactly.
The code specifically says you should do it, but the code doesn't say specifically what to do. But I would guess I would discuss that with Tony Pays, the highway superintendent. You guys can come up with something reasonable. Obviously, we don't need to have 2 8'6" wide trucks pass each other on the driveway. But, you know, I don't know, maybe at some point, if it's only 12 feet, at some point it should be widened to
okay, so
18 or, you know.
If I can come to a meeting of the minds with him, that's likely to be agreeable with the board.
Yeah, basically, if you can do this code where a truck coming in there can turn around, I can guarantee that your clients of the future will get Amazon Prime and UPS and FedEx, unless you'd have to find some pretty special, unique customers who don't get deliveries by those kind of trucks. So
I hear you.
You need to do something for that. So, and certainly, obviously, emergency vehicles need that clearance.
Yes.
Then you had done driveway profiles on a sketch, but on this new set, you didn't do driveway profiles again. So if you could just check out, that's comment number 9. And then meeting with Tony Pays, highway superintendent, if any of these, if he thinks they'll need culverts, or if he should look at the site distances. I said, well, I'd like to kind of go out there and look at the entrance to lot 3, lot 7 and 8, 9 and 10, make sure that they are in a good placement with respect to the curves and good sight lines. And the SWIP, I would, at this point in your application, it appears that you got your lot arrangement. It's pretty stabilized. The lots are where they're going to be, but you should contact Brinier and Larios. If you were watching carefully, we taught you how to spell Brinier, which I was spelling wrong. But you can contact them and start working on what they would expect out of a SWIP plan, because I think he'll be looking at more information than what you've submitted so far. I think you'll have on 10 lots, you'll have several acres of disturbance when you add all the clearing together.
Yes.
And then recreational purposes, you've not left. You have essentially some choices. You can go to the town board and see if you would want to propose a park on this site. And if the town board agrees that the park's needed, you can work on that. Or you can use a fee in lieu, a recreation fee. And you can talk with the building department staff on how that's been handled. I believe we did another one of those recreation fees on a subdivision within the last year, but I'm not remembering the name.
I have tried to, we want to weigh the payment in lieu of against the setting that aside, and I've made a number of phone calls and I can't get an answer in terms of what the fee schedule is for that. And I don't know who else to call. I've spoken to the town clerk. I got referred back to the planning board. I talked to Barbara and she didn't know, but looking into it, and I just can't get a definitive answer on that.
Mary Lou, the last subdivision where we discussed recreation fees, I remember we did settle the matter, and then I guess promptly folks have forgotten. I certainly have.
Yeah, that was the one where they provided a small playground, and then
That was on Abramowitz Road, Barbara saying that was.
Yeah,
That's
and
for
then
the
the
town
walking
board,
loop or something like
Barbara
that.
just said.
and then the town board set the recreation fees.
Correct.
I would suggest, Mr. Houston, if you send a letter and address it to Barbara Pays and ask what the in lieu fee is, and you make a written request, we'll make sure that gets to the supervisor, and if he needs to put it on an agenda for a town board, and we'll figure this out, and we'll get you an answer.
Okay.
Yeah, the other subdivision was Rustic Pines.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't remember what we charged off the top of my head, and obviously I don't have that file in front of me. But what I seem to be remembering, if my memory is anywhere near accurate, is they had 19 lots, and I think we determined that there was probably enough recreation for 9. They had trails, they had a playground, and I think that they paid 10,000 in rec fees at like
That's what
$1,000
I
a lot
remember
before
too.
building permits are issued. Does that sounds familiar to someone else?
Yeah.
Yeah, it
remember
does.
that.
Didn't we also make them enlarge the playground a little?
We
Yeah.
did work on the playground and the walking trails, yes.
So anyway, if you make the request in writing, because I know calling people on the phone sometimes doesn't work out.
You just get
Understood.
And Mary Lou and I will make sure that we do some research and get you a specific answer on the in lieu fee issue.
Okay.
And the last matter, which is for the board, is the reservation of land for potentially street realignment in the future. In other plans, we've asked for 25 feet off of each side of the road center line to be shown, and then that would be deducted from the net lot area. Right now, they're only showing the pavement edge, and that's section 9526B. So I don't recall it, that we've really discussed this with this particular subdivision, but that's been a standard practice of the board to ask applicants to leave a 50-foot space, 25 feet centered on the center line of the road, and to say that would be available for road widening purposes should a road be widened in the future.
They can also ask for a waiver from that provision. and the board, if they would like to, can grant that.
I was leaning towards asking for a waiver only because we have 3 different roads coming through here. We also have a very odd intersection where the 3 roads come together. And
I would also suggest that when you have your meeting with Mr. Pays, this highway superintendent, ask him if there's any areas where he thought that in the future there should be some room for widening or straightening. And once again, I think if you do ask for a waiver, if the highway superintendent has no problem with the waiver, it will be easier for the planning board to handle the waiver. But obviously, if the superintendent doesn't think you should get a waiver because there's a problem in this particular curve or this particular area, so maybe that should be on your agenda or on for a meeting.
Sense. That makes perfect sense, and that's the way we'll do it. I'll get feedback from him before I ask the board for a waiver, or we'll do it exactly the way you just described it.
Now that goes through the comments I made in my memorandum. Did any of the board members have any questions for Mr. Houston or any other comments?
Yeah, I did. They're on lot 10. It seems like your house is considerable distance down or uphill from your septic and reserve system. And I don't know what kind of soils you have in there, but if that's that needs to be a fill system, that could be pretty difficult to get a truck down a 25-foot or 25% slope down there to construct that and so on.
Yeah, that's a big drop.
It's a big drop and it's a long ways away. Just wondering if there was any way to get it someplace else or do some other modifications to that lot. And then the other question I had was, is that driveway going across lot 10 going to Soto, and is there a right of way, or is that just a driveway of convenience?
Okay, as to the first question related to the septic, I'm afraid I'm going to need to get input from our hospitalized engineer on that. So yep. I've made note of that, and I will bring it up with him and get an answer for you on that. As far as the driveway to Soto goes, that is not the only entrance point for Soto's. There's another active entrance that gets them to their house. I have no idea about the history of that particular part of the driveway. I do know that the Soto property came before the planning board at one point a couple of years ago. I saw that map. The driveway was shown on that subdivision map. So I know it's been in existence for that long, but there is nothing in the Soto deed giving him a right of way across there, and there is no reservation in the deed for our property. So it's something that my client is aware of, and he's going to have a discussion with them, and we're going to come to some sort of a resolution with that before we reach the finish line with this subdivision process. So we're aware of it, we're looking into it, and we're going to do something that is hopefully amicable to everybody.
Okay, thank you.
Mary Lou?
So I think that, there's changes that have to be made as we discussed. And Mr. Houston, thank you very much, because I know that you were kind of filling in for a lot of engineering things here today, although you're not an engineer. So I appreciate that. And I'm sure the board does as well. I would think, unless Jonathan disagrees, that at this point we should wait for new plans to come in with these changes. I don't think you're ready to set a public hearing on this yet. Jonathan, would you agree? Or do you think they're ready?
No, I think we should get the driveway placements, finalized before setting the public hearing, and then, so we'll have another meeting and then set the public hearing, and then probably by the time we have that public hearing, which would be 2 meetings from now, we would get them and the preliminary plan stage, and then they could probably go on to final. If we get some of these details figured out on the turnarounds and the passing and setting up of the driveways, either a reservation for road widening or a waiver request, and the meeting, and that depends on meetings with Mr. Pays. So once those issues are solidified, then we could go to hearing.
Right. And if Barbara could just chime in on what date she would need new plans by in order to get this on the March meeting.
She's looking at the calendar right now.
I figured she would be. Thank you.
March's meeting would be your.
Yeah, it's 28 days, so it's 15th again, I think.
15th is the meeting.
Like Paul said, 28 days probably.
Right. The question is, what date does she need the new plans in order to get it on that agenda?
15 minus 14 would be March 1.
2 weeks? Okay, so.
Yes, March 1st.
Okay, so Mr. Houston and Mr. Heenan, we would need new plans to us by March 1st at noon in order to get you on the March agenda. If we don't get them till later, it would be the April agenda, and we would need them 2 weeks before that. So I don't know if you'll be able to get them in time for March, given that your engineer has some health issues right now. But just be aware that that's the deadline. And if not, we'll be going to April.
She just said either March 1st or the 5th of April, depending upon.
When you get them done, when your engineer can get back to work. And hopefully he'll be healthy and doing that again soon.
Yes.
Hopefully.
And I think we'll be okay with making the March 1 deadline.
Great.
Okay.
So
Mary Lou, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yep, go ahead. I was going to say, if you don't have anything else, I think we're done for now.
We want to wait on seeker?
Yeah, I think so, because we're going to be looking at a lot more detail.
That's what I was thinking. That's what I have on the agenda tonight. So.
Okay.
I'm going to sign off, folks. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
I'm sure this was a tough meeting for you guys, and it was a good meeting.
I'm hoping that John Constable is somewhere good and looking down and laughing at us when we stumble through some things that he did so eloquently.
Well, if no one has any other comments, I will entertain a motion to accept the minutes from the last meeting.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Also, a motion to, on Mary Lou, unless you have anything else, to adjourn the meeting. I'd like to adjourn the meeting in honor and in memory of John as well.
All right.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Good night.
Good night.
Night. Nice job, everyone. Bye.
Good night.
Yeah, thank you.